Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Karl. With me as always is Taylor Page. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, Karl.
How are you today, Taylor?
I'm doing pretty good. Not too bad. I'm rocking the rec specs. We were talking about that a
Yeah.
little bit. I got to wear them for a couple of days here, so a little disoriented. But I don't know how you guys driving these things. Like
This was a
it's
rhetorical
brutal.
question, Taylor.
No way.
We'll hear more about your specs here in a second, Taylor. But listen, I know you like interesting guests, and so I went all the way out west to find a guest for today. And with us today is Brian Gonzales. He's a graphic designer, web developer, and brand strategist from Portland, Oregon, all the way out there, quite far from Ohio. And he
Very
founded
far.
an agency called Solver Collective that helps companies and brands online and offline marketing. And he's worked with Shopify since 2018. There's a chance he was at Unite 2019. We'll find out here in a second, Taylor. I know you wouldn't have seen him because you weren't there. And he recently began a PDX meetup, Shopify meetup group, and is working on fostering community for all things Shopify. So welcome, Brian, to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it. And it's so interesting. I was listening to yesterday on my drive to go and pick up the kids at school, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be on this show tomorrow. I can't wait. Let's do this. I'm excited. Yeah, it's super early. And by the way, I was going to wear my rec glasses, and I was like, heck no way. I'm putting on the contacts at 6 a.m. over here.
Oh,
So yeah, it felt like sandpaper, but I'm not going out like Taylor over there. No way.
No.
yeah. So, Brian, one of the first things I usually ask every guest is just how did you get into Shopify development? What is your superhero origin story? Help us understand how you went from presumably a normal person to this amazing Shopify developer, artist extraordinaire that you will become today.
I'm gonna go right to the punch. There was a moment, I'm telling you guys, like I probably would have been, on a Drupal podcast at some point. I started off as a Drupal developer, and I was loving it. We were able to build whatever we wanted to. I was really into, Uber car, commerce, those kind of things. And I felt like I was really like loving where it was going until one day you realize maybe this isn't the right direction for us. We were kind of starting to see the separation in the way that the software was going, a little bit in the way that the community was going, and it was right around Drupal 7, Drupal 8. And I'm working for these brands. I'm working for Capita and Union, Cole Headwear, and C3 was like the overall distribution brand for them in the Northwest or in the North America. And somebody on the team decided like, hey, I really want you to make the site look like Shopify. And I was like, man, that's not a problem. I think they're doing great stuff. Everything that was happening in that, like the way that the buttons look, the way that the attributes look, I'll just build that for you. I built it for them, and then they look at it and they're like, yeah, no. But I mean, like, I was really just wanting to have Shopify. Can we just have Shopify? And you're like, well, you guys, that's a heck of a lot of work, and we're already launched. Like, no way, we're Drupal. And eventually I got in there. I was like, all right, we'll add on Shopify for you. We'll add on Shopify. We did the button JS, all that. And it worked out okay. We have some tough things though, because we have to sell. We can only sell it in North America, and the rest of it is like a global brand strategy. And so we can't necessarily, show that button. So yeah, it got a little bit tricky. You have to do some IP lookups and things like that. But at the end of it, I was like, we are really shoving this, brand experience from one side and then slapping on e-commerce. I wonder what would happen if we just went full Shopify. And that began like that journey. 2017, 2018 is right when I was like, all right, let's go full in. And I didn't look back. That was like the main reason why I had to do Shopify, is because people kept asking for it. And, as a good service person dedicated to the craft, I was like, all right, let's go. So that began the journey with Shopify. But, there's always more to unpack there too. Origin stories don't just start, in the third act.
Right.
I like to take this one if I can, like all the way back, just because it's a little bit fun. But I'll skip over like all of my tender years here. But when I was a little kid, my parents, they were both teachers, and so every summer they would be able to bring home overhead projectors, the computer. So we had like Apple IIe. We would have like the first Macintosh. My mom actually still has the box. My mom lives like 4 houses up, so I'm pointing this way.
Bring her over.
Nice.
I'm going to take her to lunch right after this, you guys, so I'm super excited. It was her birthday the other day, and I was like, Mom, we're celebrating you all month long, and today's the 31st. We got one more chance. Let's go. So both my parents are teachers. They would bring, the equipment, the AV equipment home, and I remember just falling in love with the fact that like we got the TI-99. This is like Texas Instrument home computer.
Yeah.
Did either of you guys have this thing?
Oh, I
No,
thought you were talking about a calculator.
You
And
said the
I
TI-99.
thought it was a calculator too. I was saying,
What is the
calculator?
what is the name of that thing? I've got 3
Go ahead.
monitors over here. Let's look
What?
it up. It was the
He's
the
got some
Texas
multiple monitors too.
Instrument home computer. Yeah, it was the TI-99 4A, and it wasn't that beefy
4A, yeah.
calculator, although that thing was sick. No, this was like you slide a little cartridge in, and on the side of it, it had what they called the speech synthesizer. So you could play video games, and at the time, like it would play Parsec, this like flying space game, and be like Parsec, and it would like talk to you, and they had basic programming, so you can turn it on, get to console, and start programming in BASIC. And so it's funny because I still have the book, like the BASIC book downstairs in my little library, and I've got it all circled and stuff. You learn how to program dot matrix style this like character named Mr. Bojangles, which probably has some weird connotations in today's world, but he was awesome. He was like he dances. And what was amazing is when you finish the book, you get to animate him, and like Mr. Bojangles dances. Lord, never look back. I'm thinking, man, this is what I want to do all day, every day. I would go into school. We had like computers at school. Yeah, I went to a Catholic school. They probably just donate a little money, But I would go into the school and be like, yo, you guys check this out. And we'd be able to like create a little basketball animation game. You got to press the right numbers to get it to have the right arc to get into the hoop. And you're like, we're playing video games at school. This isn't even real, is it? But yeah, that was the beginning into computers that kind of led me in the trajectory. Bulletin board systems in high school, finally got like real modems when we got to college, went on a Mexico program. So I studied in Mexico for a while, and somebody gave me a CD-ROM with like Photoshop 5.5. And yeah, it was totally pirated, but I brought it back home, learned how to do Photoshop, and just married that love of art, because I'm an artist by nature, married that love of art, married that craft of computers, figured out how to build websites. Kind of through an interesting one. This is, maybe anybody else can relate to this, but I didn't understand the concept of, this is a real thing, I didn't understand the concept of the internet holding my files. So the internet is sitting there hosting and holding all these files. And I'm working at this gallery. It's called the Brian Ono Gallery. Beautiful gallery, by the way, in Pioneer Square of Seattle, Washington. And this is 1998, I believe. And we had this VX Sony one. It's called the Sony VX 1000. It was like a handy cam. Thing was awesome. Straight out of Japan, like all the icons and everything, and like little glyphs on it were all in Japanese. But I figured out, like, okay, if we go and we get this FireWire, and I get this like FireWire card, I'll put it in the computer, and I'll take video, and I'll take some snapshots of all the inventory of all the different artwork. And so I go and I one day I hot plug it in, or like hot pull it out, and it freaking fried the computer. And I was so bummed. I go, oh man. I was so scared to tell Ono-san. I was like, oh, Brian, you don't even know, but I think I just fried your website. because all the files were like living in this computer. And that became the next phase of the journey. I don't know. We have younger guests on here. I know we were going to have a junior dev edition, right? According to the last episode. Are we still doing that junior dev Liquid Weekly edition?
We should.
So I was gonna join the porn industry. So there was a big market for porn back in like the college days. I don't know if it was what it was, but we had another guy who was working at the art gallery. His name's Eric Shostad. Eric, if you're out there listening, what up? And Eric goes, "Hey, Gons, here's the deal, buddy. I'll start you off $60K. I'll get you a computer. You help me build porn for the world." And trust me, you guys, that was super like tempting, super tempting. Best offer I could have ever thought of, except for I completely didn't agree with the porn industry. It wasn't really where I wanted to like take my big career here. And I'm just starting to leave Seattle University. And I'm like, man, so I tell my mom about it. I'm like, Mom, here's this offer, super good offer. And, both my parents are teachers. So like, going to a Catholic school, you're pushing every penny. And then for the fact that like, she knew that I wanted it so bad and I wanted my own computer, again, I'm using all the computers at the computer lab and whatnot. She goes, "All right, Hito, here's the deal. I'll get you a computer and you can go to the bookstores. There's a place called Elliott Bay Bookstore around the corner of Brian. No. You can go and buy this book, and it was called How to Build Websites in 24 Hours with a Layers Home Site. It was like it's now Dreamweaver. And so I was like, man, I'm going to buy this book. I'm going to learn how to program. And that's when I realized that, if I just get enough of this information and I get the right address, I got the right login, all my files were still up there in the internet. And so that was my first foray into web development. I worked with Brian ever since. Then we had a big crash in 2001, 2001, somewhere right around there. We had a big economic crash. George W. Bush was in office. I got laid off. It was a real bummer. Totally knew it was going to come. And it was kind of interesting because Brian said, "Hey, Gonzo," and we had other employees there too. But he goes, "Gonzo, let's go." And he took me and he's driving me and he's like, "Hey man, I'm going to tell you now, I'm letting you go first. And the reason I'm letting you go first is because you got a lot of stuff to do out there. And, I'm going to keep the other guys on for a couple minutes, but I need you to build this thing up. You're going to do all right." So sure enough, I was like, well, I guess I'm a web developer. Maybe I'm a designer. I got Photoshop, probably 6 at this time. And, and I've got the internet skills. So, what can we do with this? So I turned it in. I called it Paradigm Productions, and then Brian Ono became my first client. And then after that, it was a little bit off to the races. I came back to Oregon, left Seattle because, no job there that I can really hold on to. My brother was getting married, moved back to Oregon, and I'm now in Oregon. I'm actually loving it. I already started to get clients, which was super cool, like just pulling network and whatnot. But I realized that I wanted to go and work for a retail job. I always had this curiosity, like burning desire to go and work retail.
Really?
I really did. Yeah, it must be kind of something about like just when you're a kid and you go to the mall and there's like, remember Zoomies and stuff? It'd be like going to Zoomies.
Is that
I don't know
talking about the wheelies?
I'm talking about like going into skateboard shops when you're a kid. And so for me, it would be like, man, I loved going to a skateboard shop and sitting in there and you would like hang out. It seemed like you were just hanging out all day and like you get to talk about, what wheels you're going to buy for your skateboard. And I think it took you months, to like ever buy the thing, but you would come in all the time to talk about how you're going to buy this thing. So, I always wanted to join retail. And so I went and I worked for this company called US Outdoor. And, full official name, US Outdoor Store. It was a big one, big, long domain name. We got smart though and bought usoutdoor.com. So that kind of helped. It's like the Facebook theory. Joined them and had started doing photography for them. So did a whole bunch of product photography work, built up that company, and then started working with these brands. So there was snowboard brands, skate brands, mountain, different camping and mountain climbing gear brands. And I got to know a lot of them because it would come in or send their reps or whatever. And I started working with this company called DEFCON Gloves. DEFCON Gloves connected me to Capita Snowboards, which led me to the distribution company, which led me to Union Bindings, which led me to Cole Headwear. And then the next thing you know, I was like, hey, telling my future wife, she actually was just here a minute ago. So I was asking Alyssa, I was like, hey, baby, here's the deal. I might jump ship and I might need your help because this is super scary, but I would love to go off on my own and build another agency, see if I can't build this thing up. She was like, all right.
What year was this?
This is 2005 or 6, right at the end of, I think I incorporated in 2006. But I think I jumped ship just that little bit early. So yeah, 2005, I'm almost positive is when I did it, and then incorporated that next year going, we did it. And, yeah, I think that was the beginning of that next journey. That's how I got into here. That's eventually how I get to the punch in the third act, working with Capita and trying to integrate Shopify. And now I meet you fine folks, and I'm on
Here
a
we are.
podcast, and it's
Full circle.
yeah, full circle.
Oh man, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing, Brian. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
you have tons
absolutely.
of experience all across. It seems
Yeah.
like, all the way from the very early days. And so like you kind of, and one of the things that we want to talk about right today was, initially you started off and you've done all these things, you've been parts of these other communities, and now you're working on building communities where you are. So, we've talked about like, it's kind of hard, right? Like people can work anywhere and do all this stuff when we're on the web. The files, they're not just here local, they're everywhere, just like the people. And so, but some of us are doing like online communities and you've experienced that, but you're doing stuff in Portland too, right? Like how did that start? And maybe you want to talk about that a little bit, where you pivoted from just, you're doing an agency thing to now we're doing local stuff.
Yeah. So, and Taylor, I'm telling you, I really like what you have going on with your community as well too. Or, I checked it out. I don't know if I've created the name yet. I know Karl has, but you got to put it into practice when you're ready. But yeah, I had this. I've always had this love for meeting up in person, and even at Seattle U, moving back down here, kind of helped out with the alumni group. I love meeting up in person. Like there is almost nothing more fun, and I'm gonna bring it back up again. But I used to love doing in the early days, especially when I was coming up. I used to love. When I say coming up, I mean like trying to force myself how to learn code fast. Right. I'm now back in Portland. Let's go back to that origin story. I moved back to Portland. I'm hungry for anything that would come my way when it was digital. Joined the PHP group. I joined that Ruby group too. You guys were awesome. Great pizza, by the way. So I joined the Ruby group. I joined the PHP group. I joined the Drupal group. And that's where I found like between those three, I found like amazing people that I still connect with to this day.
That's awesome.
That I love just knowing like, man, I remember going into some of these like brew pubs. We love our brew pubs out here in the great Northwest.
It's true.
So we go to these brew pubs and yeah, somebody would be geeking out about, security holes that they're finding. And maybe it's like an expert on learning about security and he's got some 5 quick tips. And you're like, man, I never knew I was into security, but I've always loved servers and I've always loved, I can see how this could be a major problem. So yeah, I'm going to file that in the back archives here. And then the next one might be about, how to get your page load speeds to be at optimum. I think we had one of my favorite ones by Mikey P. we were able to get our Lighthouse scores down to like, I mean, they were incredible. Pace scores, boom, right out of the gate, like perfect A's. And you're like, man, these are incredible. It didn't matter if it was Drupal. These were smart people. And you would go and have a beer with them afterwards, and we were all sitting there talking about why, putting things in UTF-8 was important, like nerdy stuff, but it mattered to us, and we were all having fun, and we get to talk about kids, and maybe even sharing some of like the, hey, I need help on a project. Next thing you know, you're getting roped into something cool, and you're like, this is exciting, and I missed it when I come to Portland, and we were all excited about it, and I think I just missed it. I missed it because I hadn't been involved. I recognized it. I pulled myself out. I looked online, and I went to meetup.com, and I've seen some other stuff from in there before. Like I said, I've been doing this with Seattle University and their alumni group, and I was helped spearheading that. And we have to put together these kind of forced meetups. They're like, hey, I know we're all busy. We're not going to be able to do this all the time. But if we can meet up even once a quarter, one time a quarter, you guys, just have purpose here.
Sure.
Then we can make this work. We could all have a blast. And so, we would have a great time. And half the time it was sponsored. So you get awesome food, great networking. The school is paying for awesome things. And that's when I went to go and look up for Shopify, the last group meetup was like in 2022. And I reached out. You can because I'm not an organizer. It was like PDX Shopify meetup group. So there was an original group.
Oh, okay.
And they had hundreds of members. There was already a group, but it had been dormant. So I reached out to them. I was like, hey, you guys, is this still going on? And you can actually see it in like the thread of discussion. People over time had been wondering like, hey, guys, is this still active? Is it still an active group? And nobody reached out. And it would be months would go by. And I'm like, man, you guys, is there any way that we can like spin this thing back up? And it would go to the ether. And it's like, dang it. And so my business partner, Nick, he goes, hey, Gons, here's the deal, buddy. If you don't start up a Shopify meetup group, I'm going to do it here in Vancouver. He's from Vancouver, Washington, right across the bridge here. He goes, if you don't do it, I'm going to do it. I was like, challenge accepted. Let's go. We're going to do it. And so I did it that day. I was like, hey, I wrote one last time, said, hey, is there any chance I could take over your group? Didn't hear anything. No problem. Spin it up. Now we got a group. And I knew that I was going to be planning for about 3 months or so. And I immediately started looking for a place that we can go and have our events at, our local meetups. And I don't remember exactly how I did this, but it was something like I might have looked up another group, saw where they were hosting an event meetup, and I reached out to that place, and it was called Ned Space. And it's an awesome co-working facility that's located in a building downtown Portland. Amazing view. It's on the 11th floor, a gorgeous view of Portland. Amazing office spaces. And this guy, his name is Faris. I love Faris. So he goes, hey, give me a call. Let's get on the phone. Let's talk this out. And that very same day, he was like, all right, you can use the space. It's like, dude, I got a space. I got the place. I've got the group signed, started up. I think we're doing this. I think we're building it. We're going to start this up. And so Faris goes, why don't you come on down? We'll give you a tour. You'll see where this place is at and you kind of get the lay of the land. So he gave me the tour and shows me around. I'm getting all starry-eyed about Portland. I'm like, we're going to do it. This is going to be so much fun. He goes, all right, when's your first meetup? And I was like, we're thinking about 3 months from now. He goes, no. I was like, what? He goes, no, man. 3 months. I'm giving you 2.5 weeks. And I was like, homework. I've got to build a community in like a couple of weeks. Faris, if you're watching this, man, smart move. next thing you know, that fire was lit. I've now got the meetup.com. I've got Calligator's another one of the things that we use out here. Is Calligator a national thing? Do you guys have it over there? You guys are in Ohio, right?
Ohio, yeah. I have no idea what Calligator is.
Oh, so
That's
we have
the
a
Western
nerdy.
internet.
We got some nerdy people out here, man. I'm telling you, it's prime for Shopify devs. So we got this thing called Calligator, and it like literally aggregates all these like geek events. And so Calligator was one. We got like portlandstartup.com. We got meetup.com, and we got LinkedIn, obviously. So yeah, now I've got this like timeline. I've got to set and build this little community up and get people out there. And we did. We literally like built up a little group, and we met up. We had an awesome event. We brought in tacos. We got this little spot called Don Ladis down the street, and I had them cater the thing. And yeah, it was an awesome time. Great way to meet people, get everybody excited. I met some. I'm actually out for anybody out there who kind of knows the Portland land. I'm about a half an hour away towards the mountain in a city called Gresham. So I'm actually not in Portland. Yeah, I claim Portland. I claim Portland all day long, but I'm from Gresham. So yeah, I actually met somebody who was out here from Gresham, so that's always cool. You never know until you like out there in the real deal. And so we built up this little community, and then I started getting into the summertime. So now we've had a couple of events, and my group started withering away. And I was like, oh my gosh, nobody wants to go. I'm a failure. Oh, this is bumming me out. Can't believe it. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. Why is this happening? So I reached out to meetup.com. They have a great little like chat bubble. So I hit the chat bubble, and I'm thinking, got to talk to somebody. I need a therapist. And so I talked to somebody, and they go, okay, let's set up a video meeting. And I talked about the strategy. And they go, well, here's the thing, Brian. Like a lot of people during the summertime, they've got a lot of activities. And so you got kids are out of school, and we don't know where they're at in their world. And they go, did nobody show up? And I was like, no, it's not that nobody showed up. We started out, we had almost 50 people. And then we withered that sucker down to like, we had 3 people. It was an intimate session. And I was like, I don't know where this is going, but this is like a wild roller coaster. They go, don't worry about it. It's totally normal. And you're just starting up this community. So it's going to take a minute. But they also said a couple of things you're going to need to do. Get a good solid roadmap, right? So build that roadmap out. Let people know what's coming. The next thing, you're going to have to be okay with the fact that they're not going to be too involved during the summertime. But watch, once it comes that September, October time, and it's about fall, they will come back. So I'm there. It's just about that sweet spot, September, October. Out of nowhere. So my group was called something different because they already had this PDX Shopify meetup. Mine was called Shopify Portland Metro Group. I had to call it something different.
Good. Rolls up the top.
Totally. Thank you. My branding skills weren't fully jiving at the time. But so I had this group, and I'm thinking, all right, it's September, and I see this thing come up in my feed because I've reached out, I've joined that other group, and it says, boom, we're starting back up again. Oh. And I thought, holy cow, it's been years and they're starting back up. This is amazing. Let's go and see what this is about. And I actually talked to my mom. Mom, you've been brought up a couple of times now. I go, Mom, this other group is starting up, and I feel a little weird about it, you know? I had this one, but mine's kind of dying. I see this other one, there's already members there, cultivated members, but I think everybody's super confused. Like, what's happening? Why did it just go stalemate? I'm going to go in there, and if this thing feels legit, I'm going to fold mine into this one. No problem. I'll just tell everybody. There's like a communication system on meetup.com. I'm going to let everybody know. Go over there. So I go to this meetup. and it's going to be over at this place called Gray Box. They have an office building that's amazing in downtown Portland. And so I drive out there from Gresham, mind you, in rush hour traffic, which is not easy. And I get there, and there was a problem with the elevator, and I couldn't get upstairs where everybody was at. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh my God, I'm here. I made it. But now I'm stuck outside. They finally let me in somehow. I think there was another person waiting with me, and we traveled up the stairs, and we thought we're never going to get in. And all of a sudden somebody passed by the little window from the side hallway. And I'd be going, hey, let us in. And sure enough, the homie didn't know who we were. We could have been strangers. We could have been killer sharks. He didn't know. But he let us in. And we saw this group of people munching on pizza and having beers and looking like they were having a great time. And we were like, hey, my name is Brian. Can I join the group? And that's how it started. And then, yeah, we were in this group together. We were talking about the future of what this thing could be. I was letting them know what happened with mine. They thought, wow, we didn't even think to check. But, man, that's totally. So we go, hey, we knew that we needed to talk. And I recognized one of the people in there. He's actually a dad from my kid's school. So he's an All Saints dad. And I go, dude, Rhett, what are you doing here? And he was the guy who was running this thing. Him and this guy named Ben Parrish. And I'm like, dude, you guys, this is incredible. I really like your group. This is a great synergy. I'm probably going to fold my group into your group if you guys, if there's any complication. I don't think there should be, right? And they go, well, let's have a convo. So we siloed the convo, and Rhett was like, hey, man, I really love your enthusiasm. I love what you've been doing. We'd actually love to have you be a part of this. Rising tides rise together. And would you like to co-organize with us? And that began the process of 100% I would like to do that. So we folded the original group, and I think it took me I used all 2 or 3 months to let everybody know, hey, one last final chance. You guys click this button, join that group. Some people went, some people didn't. But what was great is that we did it. We made that choice. And we actually have another group that we're all co-organizers of as well. They saw, hey, you got a lot of spirit. We love having you around. So I'm now also a co-organizer for e-commerce Portland. And that holds a whole different level of in real life engagements. We have our next one on February 12th. And it'll be at this place called Portland Gear. Awesome brand, by the way, if you guys ever get a chance, portlandgear.com. Yeah, we're going to do an IRL event there. Awesome networking, great food, great beer. And yeah, so I'm, at the same time, we're cross-pollinating these things, and it's something that I'm super looking forward to. But yeah, that's how we're kind of building up this thing in Portland, how we're building up this meetup group.
So Brian, that's an amazing story. And so many questions. I don't know if Taylor probably does too. Thanks for walking us through. You're a great storyteller. Yeah. Well, my first question is this: of the meetups that I have been involved with, because I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and it's not a small city, so there's some things going on here. The Shopify ones always seem to be driven by agencies, and they tend to feel like they're more looking for potential leads and networking, less development centric kind of stuff. So, how would you describe the sort of communities you're finding and been a part of? Is it developer driven? Is that primarily a technical audience, or do you find that it's more like a just general e-commerce, trying to make connections, shop owners showing up looking for help, that kind of stuff?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah,
yeah.
Karl always asks the good questions. Yeah.
Yes. You did come up with a cool Basecamp over here that has some great questions on it too. So agency stuff, I almost have an allergic reaction to it. When we were coming up through that Drupal groups, it was never focused on the agency. It was always focused on the people. It was always focused on, and it was us delivering the messages. We were the ones up there, like putting on the presentations. We were the ones gathering at the end of the day. Had nothing to do with agencies. And what's interesting is like, so now, Karl, in our group, it's not agency focused. Do we have to give sponsorship shout outs? 100%. Am I rocking Solver hat today? Yeah, baby. I'll subliminally hit you with that branding all day long.
Well, just to be clear, no problem with agencies being involved. It was more like, is the focus to talk simply about development stuff and really meet the technical people where they're at? Or is it more broader, like anyone that's interested in e-com and happens to hit with Shopify wants to come here in the hope that we network and maybe make some attractions and connections? That's all I was asking.
Oof. Yeah. My intent, and this will come in time, this group has to really foster and come together and let their voices be known. But I'm definitely gearing it more towards people who want to get into the nitty gritty of Shopify. So if you're a retailer and you want to know more about it, you are going to see amazing demos by awesome, apps out there. You're going to find people who might have questions about it. So they might come. We've actually, on one of our last ones, we had a guy who came just to kind of answer a question that he had about his stuff. And he like sells masks, and I'm like, hey, we could totally help you. Take a couple minutes with us afterwards and we can help figure that out with you. But yeah, honestly, we're trying to go for the power users, the ones who are in it like cool. Daily. Yeah, we want to get in there and like, if you're using Shopify on a regular basis, we want you in there because, you're going to be the one who's going to benefit and value from seeing the change log. Change logs are important for us, right? Like we want to know some of those hard hitting questions. That this last little virtual meetup that we had, it was about GraphQL, like super nerdy stuff, like who wants to do this? If an average retailer came in, like, I'm not sure, the coffee shop down the street's going to go, hey, Cons, I love that last presentation. I'm going to use GraphQL today. No, I doubt it. We're going to get some people who are going to totally love it and kind of be geeky about it. I think the people who are more looky-loos and people who are more into just like generalized e-commerce and generalized like, oh, I use Shopify too, they're going to have a probably more engagement and more value out of e-commerce Portland, and we'll cross-pollinate those things. But yeah, we're a little bit more developer-centric.
I have found, this will be the last time I mention this, and then Taylor, you can share some thoughts too, but I think one of the things that is hard about Shopify is that, you mentioned some other groups you've been a part of. I've been a part of an Elixir group, a Ruby group. Like, those very clearly are speaking to technical audiences. Shopify, it's either technical or it's store owners or it's some mix in between, right? So it's much harder to figure out what audience you're going to focus on. And so even, I know like Taylor's group and my group, I'm very explicit about this is for Shopify developers, not because we don't want other people to be a part of it, but simply because we have to make that distinction since Shopify is broad enough now that you could attract all kinds of different folks. And you want to make sure that you help them connect with the right place. So I just recognize this as a challenge when you're building a community like you're doing, how to position that messaging and recognize that you're going to have a very wide net simply by the nature of what Shopify is, as opposed to like an Elixir or PHP or even a Drupal, right? You wouldn't get a lot of e-commerce people going to Drupal necessarily.
Yeah. No, Karl, you are absolutely right. And we're at that prime stage where we're building that messaging. I think you're 100% correct. I think for...
I like Brian. That's good.
Especially for these like we call them liquid lunch and learns. And yes, I adapted it a bit from you guys. I'm a fan of this liquid. I'm a fan of this liquid weekly stuff. You guys, you really nailed it for people like me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, the liquid lunch and learns, I want them to be technically focused. I really do. And so I'm going to have to let that messaging be known. Where I think the other people can come in is our IRL events, and we're only going to do them once a quarter. So the plan is we've got it all earmarked. I think it's March 27th. It's a Saturday, or no, it's a Friday. Anyways, we're earmarking it for an in real life event. That's where we're going to have that good pizza and beer, and it's going to be on all those sponsors out there donating that good money. So if you're any sponsors out there, come and get at me.
Pay attention.
There you go. Get the sponsors.
Yeah, got to get them. But yeah, we, at that point, bring them all in, bring that whole wide gamut, bring that net. And we've got the leverage from e-commerce Portland to say, hey, we're going to cross-pollinate this. And we kind of call it United by Shopify in that world. So if there's a thing that we think would be beneficial for the Shopify kind of cross-pollination, it's going to be called United by Shopify. And so, yeah, and for these ones, I'm gonna take your advice and really start pushing for, this is for the technical audience, and I want it to be that way. That's where I think I feel the most value, and I think that's where, when we've got that like real broad stretch for all these different agencies and the people who are working in them, that's the strategy too of how I'm gonna like communicate with them. There's a lot of great shops out here in Portland, and they've got some amazing devs, like super smart heads. And I go, man, you guys join the group. Not only do I need your help, I need your help to put on presentations. These liquid lunch and learns, they don't happen by themselves. Like, it's people like you. And when you do it, I give them participation points. Can I give the little nuggets?
Give them stickers?
So, yeah. What's the participation? This is because I run into the same thing, man, with like developers are not always like, they love doing technical stuff, but they don't love doing presentations. And so we have this in Shop Dev Alliance too. It's hard to get people like devs who are really, really smart to get up there and show off in front of other people. So yeah, I need to know what you're doing for participation points here. What does this look like?
I'm enticing them, you guys. Hold on. I got bags of swag.
Oh, we need swag.
Swag bags.
That's what it is.
Taylor, I know you know what this is, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How many you got? Man. How many you got over there, buddy? You got 24. You got how many? You got 28 now.
That's the 24, 20. What now? What's 24, 28?
Go look at your Shopify counter. How many you got, baby? You got 28. You got 33. You got 33.
Oh, this is 35. What are you talking about?
You got 35.
Episode 35. That's this episode. That's the episode number. That's what that is. I was like 20. What? Like that's insane.
Oh, I thought. I got all kinds of swag stickers, baby.
That's what we need.
Branded stickers.
So Karl, you would do an SDA presentation if I get you some swag, huh?
Yeah.
Name your price.
I'm a little richer than stickers in terms of what it's going to take, but yeah.
But
I mean, we're just stick them.
We'll get you.
So you guys have been to the ShopifySupply.com or Shopify.supply, right? They got
sir.
They got hoodies. They got the green duckies like over there on Taylor's counter over there. Mm-hmm. We got shirts. We also got stuff from like I work with all kinds of different brands, and they float us all kinds of gear.
That's really cool.
So yeah, like I'm gonna share it. Yeah, go for it.
Not to cut you off, but as we look at the time, one thing I think this is a good segue into one thing I think would be good to touch on. As you mentioned, you got some swag from the Shopify store. How is it working with Shopify in terms of figuring out sponsorship, collaboration with them? Have you had any concerns or interactions with them? Have they been supportive? Like how do you navigate that relationship?
This has been challenging, and maybe this is where we'll find it. Make some deeper connections at Unite. Are you guys want to Unite? Or what is it? What's it called?
Editions.dev. Unite is Unite's gone now, so it's editions.dev.
Editions.dev up over there. What is it? May 27th or something like that?
It's the very end of May. 28th, 29th.
So maybe this will come in time, but I'm telling you guys, I had a difficult time. And so anybody out there who's considering spinning up a local Shopify meetup group, I just thought it would be easier. Even the name, like the Portland Metro Group or whatever, that came because like I knew I needed to reach out to them and let them know like, hey, I'm going to be starting this thing up. I actually thought I could get free swag. I was like, dude, I'm going to hit them up and get socks out of this,
right?
Help me give them out to people. They pushed me around to 3 to 4 different people. They told me all about ways that I couldn't use the brand, like not like, hey, awesome that you're doing this, Gons. Like we need the community and the culture thriving in Portland. No, they said like, your stuff's a little too close. PDX looks too close. You gotta. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, brand guidelines. Here it is, baby. I should be following these pretty good, but you're also like, man, it's difficult. So you have like brand guidelines. You got to be a certain space away, and you you have to really make the distinction that this is not Shopify, that we are not
Mm.
like cohorts.
Yeah, it's like the unofficial kind of type thing. Mm-hmm.
It's an unofficial, and I get it, dude. I totally do. But it was a challenge. I think we worked through it over like 2 or 3 weeks before we finally got it. Like, okay, you're allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. What's nice now is that I feel confident. Like, yeah, we can make that distinction. You know, we are not Shopify. Please don't get us confused. We are a group of enthusiasts, and we just happen to we're fans. And so, yeah, working with their team, I just thought it would, like, why don't they have a community liaison? Back in the day, I used to help run this thing called DevZinerCon. It was like for front end devs and whatnot. And Shopify, I remember reaching out to them, and it was funny because I was like, hey, can you send me any people to come and do a conference? And there was somebody who would like call me back. This is back when it was small enough that you can do this. And what was funny is they sent me my own like homie. I was like, dang. I mean, I could have just called him up, but yeah, small world. And yeah, like I just felt like back in the day they had more, intimacy, and now they're pretty big. I really wish they would have maybe I'm missing it, and that's where we can find them at this dev conference. But I would love to form an alliance with like, hey, we've got a community, liaison, and here's how we're spearheading these different like in Seattle we call them chapters, but it's like, yeah, here's what Portland's doing out there. Here's how we're supporting Portland. You should get in contact with these couple of people because they might be great for your IRL event or your next sponsor. Like we're working with this sponsor called Loyalty, and they have an awesome program where, you can give participation points and trade in for product. And, we got Gadget.dev who's going to be there at this next event. And yeah, so
it's Gadget's going up.
We got Franco. Do you know Franco?
I'm trying to remember if I met Franco or not. Franco, if we've met, forgive me, but my memory isn't what it used to be. They're a great group of folks out there at Gadget. We love them.
Yeah, and I learned about them through Liquid Weekly newsletter, and they were they were on the thing. So whatever you're doing, you guys are doing it right. You guys are doing it good.
I just wanted to help one person, and we did it with Brian. So mission's complete now. So, Brian, if Shopify were listening to this, I think I know the answer, but if there's one thing they could do to really change the way they're interacting and support you and what you're doing, what would you think that would be?
I love having that little bit of a check-in. Help elevate me, help whatever we can. Just check in and see how things are going. Maybe even send some people on over, go into these virtual meetups. What's rad is you can do it from anywhere in the world. So one time a month, we have the liquid lunch and learn. So one time a month. And we're hoping to make it 2 times a month if we really want to get nerdy about it. But right now, 1 time a month is fine. And you can kind of do it from anywhere. So maybe it's somebody from Shopify putting on the presentation. Maybe they're just sending a couple of their they got a massive network. Like send them into the thing. We can have as many people as we want join the virtual meetup. And all that does is foster community. And in the beginning, I think we spent a half an hour rambling about nothingness, just... hey, how's everybody doing? And the last 15 minutes was my actual presentation about GraphQL, because that's what I really care about. I really care about like saying what up to Taylor and figuring out why is that beautiful guitar back there? I want to know, or did you drop that D? Come on, we doing Everlong?
Speaking of Taylor, is there anything you wanted to discuss before we transition to changelog stuff?
No, I think it's really cool what you're doing with the in real life meetups. So for me personally, like when I was first getting into web dev, I had this great group, and so shout out to Springfield devs that were in Springfield, Missouri, and they faced a lot of the same stuff that you were doing as far as like putting this amazing group of folks together. And I think it's really cool that it sounds like you're doing like a mix of meetups too. Like there's some in real life quarterly, and then there's these liquid lunch and learns. And so I think if you're looking for inspiration for other communities, I feel like they do stuff really, really well. So check them out for sure. But that was one of the things I benefited from kind of getting into this initially was just being able to talk to other people at agencies and other developers and just kind of seeing what that looked like. Because at the time I was a social worker and like I get to talk to anybody technical. So it was super cool to like make those connections with technical people. So I really admire like that part of that. I think that's really cool. I think you're doing a lot of really good things. And it can be frustrating or to some degree I get with trying to work around some of the Shopify stuff. Like we have to be careful in Shop Dev Alliance too. Like, we didn't call it Shopify Developers Alliance, like, because you can't say Shopify, right? Like, so we're Shop Dev, so like, I understand that, like, how you have to be careful. I think they will work with you on that, as you've probably found, even though it's frustrating to do that back and forth. But hopefully maybe we can get you connected to the right folks here. But yeah, like, as far as other questions that I had, no, I don't think that I had any. I think this is awesome. Like, you're putting in a crazy. People don't realize how much work meetups in real life, especially. That's like another bit of work that is. So kudos to you guys for getting that going.
Taylor, can I expand on that a little bit? I got to give a little shout out here too to Rhett, ASLR buddy. This guy, he was a DJ for our radio stations, Z100, Jammin' 95. He knows how to throw a freaking party. Okay, like, he brings speakers, he's got lights, he understands that this has got to be fun. But it's it's not like we're going to a disco, but just the fact of, like, he makes sure that it's organized, that there's going to be great sponsors, that there's great activations, that we have tables and booths. Like, he made me go and buy this. This is Rhett right here. Rhett, I did it, buddy, and it came last night. So we got Shopify color green. You know how we do it for our table, because we're trying to be a little bit more polished. Yeah. And then we also have Ben Parrish, and Ben Parrish is one of the most prolific networkers here in Portland, man. He organizes a ton of different networking events. These guys are pros, and they let me into the little circle, and I'm sitting there going, man, I'm a little feeling out of my league, but we elevate together. Rising tides rise together, and same thing with Shopify. You guys, if you reach out, if we can find that, like, synergy, I would love it. Why? Because we are only going to do great work out here to push great community. That's what it is. Just foster, and we need that. We need that support.
That's amazing. Oh, Brian, man, we could talk about this for ages, and I love talking to you, so maybe we will sometime. But for the sake of our listeners and Prakar, who's working out right now, we've got to make that transition to the changelog. So, Taylor?
Changelog, yeah. So handful of things. There's a bunch in here. I don't know that I need to hit all these, Karl, because there's like 6 different points.
I don't know if you do either, Taylor. I believe
you probably
it's
don't need me to do this much. I just, real quick, shout outs, and we won't talk about it. Like, some of this stuff is okay. So support added for the app and product queries by Metafield. So I don't know if you saw that. So just some enhanced support for app owned Metafield specifically there for you app devs. That's super, super handy. And then some additional options here or just a call out as well for apps starting to be reviewed for necessary scopes. I feel like that's always been the case. So I don't know what this announcement's from. If anybody has any ideas on that, but starting February 1, all apps submitted to the App Store actually be checked for scopes. Make sure basically Shopify approves of the use cases. So if your app is using basically unnecessary scopes for different functionality, those are going to get removed. So just heads up there. If that's something that they were kind of lax about before, the radar is up for this. And then as well, Liquid shop.meta objects. We're using meta objects for everything. Meta objects just got a little bit easier. So now you can just call them just via meta objects. So instead of looping through and saying shop.metaobjects.type or whatever kind of type, it's just metaobjects.type. So that's really nice. Make things that much less free to have to type, I guess. And then a couple of quick call outs. One is some action required. So new catalog APIs. So catalogs is associated, I believe, like on the B2B side. So if you're talking about like Shopify Plus, you've got this idea of different games and merchants. And so now it's supporting different markets, essentially. And so with that, now multiple markets can be assigned to a single catalog, which is interesting. And there's the market catalog .markets connection is no longer going to guarantee the return of a single entry. So that's just for those of you dealing with B2B markets, catalogs and those sorts of things, just a heads up, you are going to have to pay attention to that. And then finally, Karl, there's a deprecation here for payout status changes. So just a heads up. And I'm not going to read through all that mess or whatever. So for those of you that are interested in deprecations related to payout statuses from in transit and scheduled, they have been merged. So just a heads up there for the future.
Amazing. Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate the work you do looking
Yeah,
through those
I
change
can
logs
read
and making
good,
them.
you know.
No, just making them digestible and picking it out. I'm sure a lot of us don't pay a lot of attention there, but it's good to have that reminder.
I'll
hard
tell
to
you
keep up, man.
from an outsider, I've always loved your guys' section on the changelog. It's one of my favorite.
Oh,
I look
Nice.
forward
That's
to
why
it.
we put it at the very end, you know. That's why we put it at the very end. Go
You
listen.
make me sit through the whole darn episode, and I'm like, gosh dang, you guys, get to the good stuff already. Come on.
It's strategy,
maybe
man.
we should
It's
elevate it then. If Brian likes it, maybe we could do some graphics or something to make it more slap harder. I don't
some
know. We'll have to see.
graphics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Anyway, all right.
We
gonna
need
get
a
off
sound
track, and then
machine.
this
We
will
need
be a
we
good.
need Kurt's sound machine. I need to figure this out.
I'll
I told you
talk
I
to him
got
about
one.
it.
I haven't figured it out.
Maybe I can entice him to sell me his old one. I'm sure there's a new one he wants, and maybe
I
he'll
have.
upgrade.
I told you that I got one, didn't
Okay.
I?
No, stop. We're
this
gonna
for
get
the-
off track.
Is this for the air horn?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
it's amazing.
Except
All
figure it
right,
out.
guys. So we're so close. We're gonna end our time with pick of the week. I don't know. We could talk all day, but I get charged by the minute on YouTube. I think, right? No, just kidding. So you've had some
The
time to think
meter's
about it,
running?
Brian. Yeah. I'll go first. Give you another think. So my pick of the week, again, this doesn't have to be technical. Something is interesting to you is I picked banana chips because we've been buying banana chips from Kroger. We enjoy snacking on them. And then I'm also been thinking like about food storage, like long-term food storage in case there's ever like a natural disaster or something. And I found this company called Augustin Farms that sells a lot of good stuff and it goes on sale for a bit. And they sell banana chips. And they were, I calculated out, way cheaper than the Kroger package, but they come in these big, 2-pound giant cans. So I bought 4 of them. And
So I bought 4
banana
Whoa.
chips.
Invested in banana.
Yeah.
Investment.
I will say this, they're fine, but do not keep it at your desk. That's just asking for trouble. So if you're going to get banana chips in a 2-pound can, put some in a bowl and then put the can somewhere else. Smart. Bad things happen. Anyway. Brian, you got time to figure out yours, or do you Taylor to go?
So I've been really getting into this music group called Polyphia, and I just got this guitar pretty recently. So if you can see it behind me, it's this bad boy right here. It's got nylon strings. It's a little bit wider neck, so you still kind of got that little bit of an old school, not quite as wide as like a traditional flamenco or something. But it's a rockin' electric guitar, got an amazing sound. Look at that. Look at that beautiful inlay.
I'll say the inlay
just
is nice on that. Yeah. That's really
Yeah.
nice.
And this guy, his name's Tim Henson. I got on one of those YouTube short kicks where it just, I think like every 5th one is now Tim Henson, because I'm like, I got to figure out how he's got this song called Playing God. If you guys get a chance, look it up, watch this guy play this guitar, and it freaking blows my mind. So I've been really into that.
That's cool. Polyphia.
Solid picks, man.
Yeah. Taylor?
Okay, I'm gonna go pretty lame here. I mean, not as lame as banana chips. But,
Okay.
I'm gonna.
That's fair. That's fair.
That was top notch.
Now I'm gonna go with just in general. I'm gonna shout out the Buckeye Express Car Wash. Yes, that's how exciting this is. So
Are you sure you beat him on the nerdiness here?
No,
y'all
he
need to
didn't.
check out this has I promise this has a point. So y'all need to check out to see this place actually offers like a subscription for their car washes. So you pay a one-time fee and you can go as many times as you want, which probably not as big a deal over in the Portland area, but here in Ohio this time of the year you can't drive 15 feet in a vehicle without it being covered in salt because of all the salt on the roads, and it enhances the corrosion stuff on your vehicles. And so this car wash is like, and I don't know how they do it. They can run even when it was single digit temps. They figured this situation out. Usually car washes shut down, or they used to back in the day, right? When it got too cold. Carl's saying no. But I pay like $25 a month, and I go through this thing twice a day sometimes, just to wash off the salt on my truck. So super happy about that. The kids love it too. These car washes have it figured out, man. It's a light show when you go in there. It looks like a disco party. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why are all these lights are unnecessary? But it's an experience for them. So they're like, hey, can we go through the car wash? I'm like, what? Yeah, I mean, yes, I guess it's fine. So yeah, Buckeye Express Car Wash. But check to see if your local car wash offers a membership. pretty affordable. I was really surprised.
There you go. Car wash.
There you go.
I think the real life hack is to start a vegetable garden in containers in the back of a pickup truck, and then instead of watering them, just take them through the car wash a couple times a day.
What's all the chemicals from the soap? What?
There's chemicals in
would not
everything,
work, Carl.
Taylor.
This would not work,
Anyways.
Carl. I've thought about this. I've researched this.
Awesome. Well, you wasted another perfectly good hour, as they used to say in Car Talk, listening to the Liquid Wiki podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, Brian, Taylor. It's good to see you as well. And all of you that stuck around and listened, we hope you enjoyed it. If you're in Portland, make sure to check out Brian's hangout there. The liquid lunches sound delicious. And maybe we'll even see you at Shopify Dev, Editions Dev, whatever it's called.
Editions.dev. May 29th
Editions
and 30th.
Dev.
May 29th,
May 29th
yeah.
and 30th in Toronto.
Brian will be there.
Tickets are not yet on sale. We'll see. Brian will be there.
Yeah,
Good,
they're not on sale yet, but I'm thinking, man, if I can, I think it would be a great opportunity. I've looked into it last year. I didn't make it. I could be on that train forever of just looking, so I might as well just plop down and make it happen. Maybe make some good connects out there too. Be great.
Carl and I are going to get a sailboat.
No, flotilla. An armada.
Flotilla.
Of sailboats.
Okay, I always get it wrong. I don't know.
Anyway. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Take care.